Welcome back to Atlanta Eats with Mara Davis.
Atlanta Eats Radio on News Radio 106.7. Hey, it's Mara Davis, and I'm at my unofficial studio once again, San Francisco Coffee, here on North Highland, where it's always weird. I'm like sitting here having coffee with friends, and I have this big microphone with me. So we talk to restaurants and restaurateurs and craft makers a lot, but I also like to get a side of the restaurant and food business through the lens of Instagrammers and bloggers who are really talking about today's trends and what's happening in the city. And I'm now with Henna Bakshi, who you've seen. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Henna's with us, and you've seen Henna's articles on AtlantaEats.com about great rooftops in Atlanta, and there's another one coming up, best places for a date over on the west side, which we're going to get into. But her Instagram is ATL Rooftops, and Henna is with us today. Henna, great to see you.
Hi, it's so great to see you.
So when did you decide you wanted to be, now you've been blogging for Atlanta Eats about food and restaurants, but how did this all get started?
Food in general, how it got started. I'm from New Delhi, India, and I come from this proper Indian home where my mother cooks every day. Food and talking about food and making food just runs in the family. So that's kind of where it all started, and I live and breathe with it. So once I'm in Atlanta and I'm in the city, it was only natural to get into the food scene.
You grew up in New Delhi,
yes.
and then how did you end up in Florida?
For school, my parents wanted me to attend school here, so they moved the family. So I went to school in Florida.
Your entire family moved just so you could go to college?
Yeah, my brother and I. My parents have always been travelers. We've traveled a bunch. And yeah, they moved for us, for a better future.
It's not a lot of pressure for you, like, you better do well in college. They're like or wouldn't your parents be like, I moved all the way from our home country for you?
They don't let me forget it. They do not let me forget it. It is pressure every single day. Whenever I have a bad day, I'm thinking it's like, oh, I can't do this anymore. I quit. Like, no, I can't do that because I know there's family backing. There's so much, help and support.
Yeah.
And there is.
Are they still here, or did they go back?
They're in Florida.
Okay.
They're still here.
Okay. What qualifies for a good food segment?
Heart, really. Cooking from the heart and not from the script is what Gordon Ramsay says. And I really believe in that. A good food segment needs to go beyond just your basics and get into something a little bit deeper. And I think that's what makes a good food segment.
And you like to cook a lot as well. And we were talking about this earlier. Indian people say the same thing all the time when I would ask, like, what's your favorite Indian restaurant? Everybody says the same thing. You said it too. My grandma's kitchen, home. Why is it that Indian restaurants can't seem to replicate that?
Because Indian cooking is all about memory. And not memory as in trying to retain memory, but memories that you share with your family. To me, eating pakoras on a rainy night means, sitting with my mom with a hot cup of tea, it's raining, and that is the dish that she always made when it was raining. And then on Diwali, why do you have barfi? Because that's when all of your relatives get together and that you feed each other a little morsel of barfi. It's all, and whenever I order that food, I'm looking for that memory. I'm looking for that exact taste. Because it's not just about the food, it's about the connection you have with it, with your family.
Oh my God, you're like a baby Asha Gomez right now, the way you're talking.
You're a compliment, I love it.
So, and for those of you listening, Asha Gomez is a spectacular chef here in Atlanta. I would say not just an Indian chef, but just one of the greatest chefs and most beautiful human beings on earth. But she says the same thing about food. It's like you come to it with so much passion.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what your thoughts on the Atlanta dining scene. You recently did a blog for Atlanta Eats, which we're going to see soon, where you went to West Side Provisions and you tried a dish everywhere. Talk to me a little bit about your experience.
So the new blog coming out about date night is where my husband and I, whenever we go out on date night, first of all, it is so hard to find the minute to do so. And when we finally do it, we don't just want to sit at one restaurant and then order the app, the main dish, the dessert, the drink. So what we do, we tend to skip around and get every course at a different restaurant. And that's what we did in West Side Provisions. And it was awesome. It is so much fun. And we even have a little secret menu in there for a late night menu, which you would pursue perhaps after dessert. And we say that, like, if your date's going especially well, go take your date to the late night menu over at Marcel's. But yeah, it kind of gives you a nice little rundown and a list of like different places to hop at.
Okay. And what was your favorite place? You went to JCT, and now have you gone over to the new Star Provisions yet? Because I haven't been over there yet.
I have not, only because it is so hard to get in there. It is so popular, and it has so many, awards and acclamations that it's kind of hard to get in there right now. So for a casual date night, we just decided against it because who wants to go through all that effort,
Well, you'll put it for your special occasion. You'll have to do more of that. Now, we were talking about this earlier about, so how old are you, Henna?
I'm about to turn 25 in a week.
Okay, so at 25, moved here from India to go to college. I mean, that's a lot to accomplish. You're a millennial.
Oh, God. Okay.
So what do you think both you and I, I'm not that much older than you, but what do you think the future of, you're less of a food blogger and more of a food Instagrammer. By the way, you can find Henna at ATL Rooftops on Instagram. What do you think the future of food blogging is, as someone who follows the trends? And I know Atlanta Eats is a different story, but where do you see the digital platforms, where it's going in food?
Very visual and very fast. For example, with Instagram, it is so easy. For example, if I'm looking for a new place to eat, I will look for the hashtag, West Side Dinner or West Side Lunch or, Midtown or whatever. And all of these different pictures pop up, and it is so easy to just pick and choose from that rather than, reading maybe a 2-page article about it. And there's nothing wrong with articles. I just feel like it's so fast and easy. It's like you order your Uber ride,
right. Do you think that's like the thing for millennials? Please answer this to me about millennials. Why don't millennials don't like the phone? Is that true?
Don't like what?
Making phone calls or the phone in general?
Absolutely not. I cannot imagine. First of all, if it is a phone call, it better be an emergency. And if you're leaving a voicemail, I can't. It better be something important because if you're calling me, just text me. I'd probably get back to you a lot sooner.
That's amazing. Okay, and all right, that's really good. See,
I can just hear people cringing right now, just like, oh God.
Well, it is funny to me because the things that I do for work, I always find that if you pick up the phone and call, you can get action a little bit quicker. If somebody picks up, it takes a lot less time than going back and forth. Anyway, back to the food. So if you had to, I'm so fascinated with the idea that you moved here with your family from India. Was that when you first got here, was that a culture shock? Had you been to the U.S. before?
It was such a massive culture shock because the first state that we moved to, where my mother got a job, was Arizona. And out in the East, we watch Hollywood movies and you watch Batman and all these movies and you think, oh, everything's New York, everything's glitzy, glamorous, and high-rise buildings. And we land in Arizona and it's just, beautiful Arizona. I love it, but it is not New York, obviously. It's just sand and rocks and cactus. And we had such a massive culture shock because coming from New Delhi, a hugely bustling city, oh my goodness, was it a culture shock. We got to kind of witness this other side of America that maybe is not so glamorized, But yeah, my first year, I gained 10 pounds because I did not know what honey buns were or what hot dogs tasted like, chocolate chip cookies, all these treats that you don't really get in the East. But now I eat a little better.
Wow, that's so wild. And what a great perspective. You spoke fluent English when you moved here, right?
Yeah. I grew up learning about 3 languages simultaneously.
Okay, so what are those languages?
Hindi, English, and Hindi, English, and Punjabi.
Okay.
Yeah, and then French was added on in high school.
Okay.
So yeah, I just grew up with these different languages.
You are so interesting. Henna Bakshi. Look for her Instagram, ATL Rooftops. Also look for AtlantaEats.com. A couple of blog posts. We look forward to hearing more from you. We also want to see some cooking demos from you. Before we wrap up, do you cook with a lot of saffron?
No, not saffron. However, I will say a cook's must-have for Indian cooking. I have these spices: salt, obviously, red chili pepper, chaat masala, and turmeric.
Okay.
Turmeric, I know, is like the hot trend right now,
Sure.
but it is ancient, guys. Get over it. Use it in your food, not just your Lay's latte.
Well, you got to be careful with it too, because it's very powerful. I mean, it's a pretty bold one.
It is, but it has so many different, health benefits.
Sure.
Put it on your face. Mix it with yogurt. It's a great face pack. It'll give you the glow of a lifetime. Like, it's so great.
Well, I should listen to you. Your skin looks terrific. Okay, all right. And I know saffron is a hot one too these days. I've been hearing a lot about that as far as ethnic cooking. Okay. This has been very interesting. I look forward to reading all your blogs at AtlantaEats.com. Thanks for giving us some time today on Atlanta Eats Radio. It's great to catch up with you.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
If you know what's good for you, you'll stay right here.